There's a voice inside of you, one you've listened to more than any other. It's not the voice of your parents, your teachers, your friends, or even your enemies. It's your own voice. The way you speak to yourself either builds your destiny or breaks your spirit. Most people go through life letting their inner dialogue defeat them before the world even gets a chance. But if, for just 3 days, you changed the way you talk to yourself, you wouldn't just feel better. You'd begin to transform your life. Today, I invite you to try an experiment. For 3 days, talk to yourself like your future depends on it, because it does. And here's exactly how to do it. You must begin with the recognition that the most powerful influence on your destiny is the voice you hear when no one else is listening, the voice in your own mind. This voice is constant. It is with you in silence, in noise, in joy, and in pain. And the nature of this voice shapes your character, your belief, your habits, and ultimately, your results in life. When that voice becomes your greatest ally, your world changes. But when it becomes your critic, your enemy, your prison guard, then your potential is smothered before it even has a chance to rise. Imagine for a moment that someone you dearly love, your child, your mother, your closest friend, came to you in tears, their heart heavy with doubt. Would you scold them? Would you mock their struggle? Would you magnify their failure and shame their pain? Never. You would hold them, remind them of their worth, speak to the strength within them, and gently guide them back to the truth of who they are. So then, why do we withhold that kindness from ourselves? Why do we speak to ourselves in ways we would never speak to someone we cherish? The reason most people struggle in silence is not because they lack intelligence, talent, or opportunity. It's because they have learned to bully themselves into weakness. They repeat to themselves the harsh words once spoken by others until those lies take root in their soul. You're not good enough. You always fail. You never get it right. These words are seeds, and if you plant poison, don't be surprised when nothing beautiful grows. But there is a better way. Self-love is not vanity. It is survival. It is not arrogance. It is alignment with truth. When you begin to speak to yourself with the tenderness, patience, and encouragement you offer to others, you begin to awaken a deeper power inside you. Say it aloud. I am doing my best, and that is enough. Say it again. I am worthy of love, success, and peace. Say it even if your voice trembles. It's okay to make mistakes. I am still growing. These are not just words. These are building blocks of a new identity. They are medicine for the wounded parts of your spirit. When you speak to yourself this way, your nervous system calms, your confidence rises, and your decisions become wiser. You begin to make choices from faith, not fear. You stop begging for validation from others and begin to validate yourself from within. Try this for just 3 days. Each morning, stand before the mirror and look into your own eyes, not with judgment, but with compassion. Speak to the version of you that is trying so hard to heal, to grow, to become more. Speak to yourself like someone you're not giving up on, because that's what love does. It believes, it uplifts, and it never turns away. And when you do this, when you give yourself that level of grace and encouragement, something remarkable happens. The world begins to respond to you the way you've begun to respond to yourself. Every man and woman walks through life carrying 2 distinct voices within, the voice of limitation and the voice of liberation. One tells you you're not good enough, not ready, not capable. The other tells you that within you lies the power to overcome, to evolve, to become something greater than your past. The tragic truth is that most people never stop long enough to challenge the first voice. They accept its judgment as fact, wear its words like chains, and wonder why they never rise above the same tired cycle of defeat. But the truth, the liberating, powerful, world-altering truth, is this. A thought only has power if you believe it. That thought, I'm not smart enough, has no teeth until you feed it. That whisper, You'll never succeed cannot touch you until you make it your companion. These limiting beliefs, whether inherited from childhood wounds or collected through years of failure, only survive because you keep watering them. The moment you recognize that your thoughts are not facts, you begin to reclaim your authority over your own mind. You begin to rewrite the story. For every lie that surfaces, there must be a deliberate truth to take its place. I'm not smart. Enough becomes, I'm learning and growing every day. I'll never make it becomes, I've already made it through so much, and I'm still here. These are not fantasies. These are affirmations of resilience, acknowledgments of the strength you've proven time and again. This is not delusion. It is discipline. It is mental training of the highest order. And modern science confirms what ancient wisdom has always known. Your brain is a malleable tool. It forms patterns based on repetition. When you dwell on fear, your mind becomes wired to expect failure. But when you feed it strength, possibility, and gratitude, it builds bridges toward achievement. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are an architect of your future. This process demands vigilance. For 3 days, act as the gatekeeper of your mind. Let no negative thought pass unchecked. If one arises, confront it, dissect it. Ask, is this helping me or hurting me? And if it's hurting you, reject it. Replace it. Speak a new truth until it takes root. Yes, it will feel awkward at first. You may not believe the new thoughts right away, but that is not the measure of progress. The measure is persistence. The measure is refusing to be passive in the face of your own mind. You have been listening to the same inner narrative for years. Changing it will take intention, not luck. You are stronger than the beliefs you've inherited. You are wiser than the voice of doubt. And once you begin to replace the inner critic with the inner coach, everything begins to shift. There is a dangerous habit that quietly robs people of their power. It is the habit of rehearsing the past until it becomes more real than the future. They walk through each day wearing the weight of their yesterdays, not as lessons, but as limitations. Their identity becomes fused with pain. They say things like, I've always failed, or people never believed in me, or I've been through too much to ever change now. And with each repetition of these declarations, they unknowingly dig the hole deeper. The past becomes their cage, and every thought, every word tightens the lock. What many don't realize is that their words are not just commentary, they are commands. When you speak about your past as though it is your destiny, you invite it to remain the author of your story. But the past is nothing more than a chapter already written. It cannot hurt you unless you insist on reading it aloud again and again. The power lies not in where you've been, but in where you decide you are going. To shift your life, you must shift your language. Speak not about what broke you, but about what you are building. Stop narrating your wounds and start scripting your future. Say, I'm building a new story. Say, I'm becoming the kind of person I've always wanted to be. Say, what's ahead is better than what's behind. Speak these words not just once, but daily, until your subconscious accepts them as truth. There is a woman who once stood as a perfect example of this principle. She was waiting tables, struggling to pay rent, with no savings and no clear path ahead. But she did one thing differently. Every morning, she wrote the same sentence in her journal. I am the CEO of a company that changes lives. At the time, it seemed absurd. She didn't even own a business, let alone lead one. But she understood something most never will. Your words are seeds. She planted that sentence over and over again, day after day, watering it with faith, repetition, and effort. 5 years later, she was running a successful coaching company that helped thousands of women transform their lives. Not because of luck, not because of miracles, but because she dared to talk more about where she was going than where she had been. you must do the same. Speak into existence what does not yet exist. Talk as if the door is already open. Think as if the solution is already on its way. You don't need to deny your past, but you must refuse to live in it. Your words create a vibration, a signal, a blueprint, and the universe responds accordingly. What you say is what you sow. So talk like a harvest is coming. Talk like your best days are ahead of you, not behind. Because they are. There is a silent agreement most people make with fear to give it a voice. They rehearse worst-case scenarios in their minds like a well-practiced monologue. They say, what if I lose it all? Or, what if I'm not enough? Or, what if everything goes wrong? As if these declarations will somehow protect them from the very outcomes they dread. But the truth is far more dangerous. Fear, once spoken repeatedly, becomes a prophecy. It roots itself in the soil of your mind and grows wild with every word you speak. Fear, like a flame, feeds on the oxygen of your attention, and the more you speak of it, the more real it becomes. But what if, for just 3 days, you stopped giving your breath to fear? What if you starved it of your words and began to nourish something more powerful? You see, faith and fear require the same thing, belief in something unseen. One is belief in disaster, the other is belief in possibility. And the outcome of your life depends on which one you choose to speak into existence. Imagine replacing the old refrain of worry with a declaration of confidence. Instead of whispering, I'm scared I'll lose everything, what if you said, no matter what happens, I will find a way? Instead of saying, what if I fail, you asked, what if this is the breakthrough that changes everything for the better? These aren't just positive phrases, they are mental blueprints. They instruct your brain where to go. They set the emotional tone for your actions. And action, born from faith, carries an entirely different energy than action poisoned by doubt, P. Performers in every field, from elite athletes to groundbreaking entrepreneurs, understand this. They don't speak about what might go wrong. They train their minds to expect success. They visualize victory. They speak in the language of achievement. They live in the emotion of the outcome they desire. This is not luck. This is mental training. At its highest level, it is self-leadership. It is the practice of putting your words to work for you instead of against you. Your fear may be loud, but it does not have to be final. It may demand attention, but it does not deserve obedience. You were born with the ability to imagine, to declare, to dream, and your words are the engine of that imagination. Speak as though you believe in the future you long for. Speak as though your life depends on it, because it does. The tongue holds the power to shape experience. Worry may come uninvited, but vision must be spoken with intention. You do not need to predict disaster to stay safe. You need to speak destiny to stay strong. Your words are not simply sounds, they are signals. So send out a signal worth receiving. Say what you want, not what you fear, and watch your life begin to move in the direction of your voice. Gratitude is not a soft concept for the spiritually inclined. It is the most grounded, practical, and powerful habit you can develop if you are serious about building a better life. It is not about pretending everything is perfect, nor is it blind optimism. It is the discipline of choosing your focus. You see, the human mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you point it toward begins to expand. Point it at your problems, and they multiply. Point it at your blessings, and those multiply too. The difference between someone who lives in misery and someone who lives in peace is not circumstance. It is perspective. And that perspective is shaped daily by the words you speak. When you practice gratitude out loud, you command your mind to shift gears. You interrupt the automatic negativity that dominates most people's inner world. You take back control. You say, I will decide where my energy goes. I will choose what gets my attention. And that choice is everything. Because what gets your attention directs your life. This is not theory. It's science. Studies have shown that consistent gratitude rewires the brain. It activates the parts associated with joy and suppresses the parts linked to fear and anxiety. It boosts serotonin. It lifts mood. It increases resilience. People who practice daily gratitude experience less depression, better sleep, stronger relationships, and greater success. Not because their lives are perfect, but because their focus is make it a ritual. Every morning before the world gets noisy, and every night before your mind drifts into dreams, speak at least 3 things you're grateful for. Don't just think them, speak them. Say, I'm grateful for another chance to become who I'm meant to be. Speak it with conviction. Say, I'm thankful for the strength I didn't know I had. Let those words echo in your chest. Say, I'm blessed to have breath in my lungs and a vision in my heart. And believe it. At first, it may feel simple, even silly, but stay with it. Because over time, this practice does something miraculous. It grounds you. It creates emotional stability. When the storms of life blow through, and they will, you will have an anchor. You won't be tossed by every fear or setback because you've trained your mind to find light even in darkness. Gratitude silences the chaos. It teaches you to see with new eyes. You begin to notice the beauty in ordinary moments, the gifts hidden in challenges, the strength born from pain. There will always be something missing. That's life. But there is also so much that is present, so much working, so much good, so many reasons to keep going. Gratitude is not a reaction, it's a decision. It is not reserved for when life is perfect. It is the reason life begins to feel meaningful, even when it's not. Gratitude is the language of abundance. It is the daily declaration that you are already enough, already blessed, already equipped to build a life worth living. Speak it daily. Speak it boldly. Speak it like your future depends on it, because it does. So here's the challenge. Talk to yourself like this for 3 days. Speak like someone who believes. Speak like someone who's healing. Speak like someone who is building something powerful and unstoppable, because that is who you are. For 3 days, stop arguing for your limitations and start speaking your liberation. Change your words, and you'll change your world. Now go speak life into yourself and watch the universe respond.